Welcome to the Shreveport Connection with Tommy. This video is on Monday Night Raw and will happen before the show, after show, and which it wasn't much due to the fact they had a fire inside the arena just prior to the only dark match that they had. And that's all they had time for. And here we go with some news as first. Pro wrestler Scott Steiner, aka Big Papa Poop, Scott Steiner, or real name Scott Rex Steiner, turned 50 years old. He was born July 29th, 1962. Happy birthday, Scott. Steiner has made headlines this year for launching a Twitter attack on Hulk Hogan, Eric Bischoff, Dixie Carter, Brooke Hogan, and now Alex Riley by Facebook. To a legal action against Steiner, and it appears to have silenced him, at least temporarily, and he has only posted one tweet since June 15th. WWE wrestler Dolph Ziggler, also real name Nick Nemeth, turned 32. He was born July 27th, 1980. We know that Ziggler won't be the first man to be unsuccessful in cashing in his Money in the Bank contract. That honor goes to John Cena. Ziggler appears to be on the verge of getting a main event push. It's about time. Why not give other people a push as well? Ring of Honor wrestler Nick Jackson, real name Nick Massey, celebrated his 23rd birthday on Saturday. He was born July 28, 1989. Jackson teams with his brother Matt Jackson as the Young Bucks. And they also wrestled as Generation Me in TNA. Dark match main event for tonight's Raw is listed as John Cena versus Big Show and John Laurinaitis in a handicap match. And some brief news from a Fight Club Chicago interview with Christina Von Eerie on her tryouts and communications with WWE. And the host of the show was Stephen Muhasan. Interview available at sportstownchicago.com/Fight Club. Von Eerie's on the difficulty of getting into WWE. There's always someone that says you have the skill. Maybe there's someone who's skinnier than you, or you have the look. But maybe there's someone younger that you have the same look. For me, I have a bunch of tattoos. What if there's a girl that's smaller, younger, and has no tattoos? It's really a gamble or a lottery. You never have a guaranteed chance. And they can look at you and go, wow, that person looks completely amazing, awesome. And then they see someone the next day and just a little something extra. That little something, you won't even be able to name what it is. They just have it. Just the little fine things. Is it fair? I definitely think that a girl that's been training hard and working hard for many years should get her payoff. It's also up to that girl to be in the best shape possible, look as good as possible, work on their mic skills, and I think that girl should be getting her shot. I don't think it's fair if you pick out a model and say, hey, you're signed. And there's rumors going on that John Laurinaitis has resigned from his position as Senior Vice President of Talent Relations Operations. As the story cited Laurinaitis being burned out, and noted that he hopes to concentrate on his role as a producer. To read more story, you can visit www.com/inside/John Laurinaitis resignation and a number 260-41375. I'm not surprised WWE opted to put this story out, given that they have been listing Triple H as the head of talent relations for some time now. Laurinaitis has been appearing at TV events and dark segments, and at the live events in talent, in addition to his behind-the-scenes work. WWE website acknowledged that the Raw set caught fire on Monday The story states that no one was hurt, and the show will go on as scheduled at 7 p.m. Central Time. Read the official statement at WWE.com. I've heard more jokes about Kane, Firebreaker Chip, and the great heat at Raw in the last hour than you can imagine. And here's the results for NXT for unknown dates as they crown a new champion in the second set of tapings. It was Winter Park, Florida at the Full Sail University. The first set of tapings, Bo Dallas defeated Dean Ambrose in a dark match, and then they taped the first show. Antonio Cesaro beat Derek Bateman. Tamina beat Sofia Cortez. Cassius Ohno beat Jake Carter. Tyson Kidd and Justin Gabriel defeated Michael McGillicuddy and Johnny Curtis. What a demotion that Michael McGillicuddy has received. Second set of tapings, Hunico and Camacho beat Mike Dalton and Jason Jordan. Haven't heard these names before. Big E squashed Chase Donovan. I guess that's Big E Langston. And Seth Rollins defeated Jinder Mahal to become the new NXT first ever champion in the championship tournament. Third set of tapings was Brodus Clay starting off with a squash match. Richie, the younger Dragon Steamboat, defeated Cassius Ohno by DQ. Paige beat Audrey. Leo Kruger beat Percy Watson. The Ascension beat the Usos. Not bad, but it was dragged on. And your main event of that one was Big Show defeating Alex Riley in a dark main event. So that was your dark main event. Okay, and on with the Raw show. During the Raw broadcast, not quite on the this happened during the show. During the live broadcast, Abraham Washington made an off-color remark referencing NBA player Kobe Bryant's sexual assault case in 2003 and 2004. As client Titus O'Neil tangled with Kofi Kingston in the singles match, Abraham yelled from ringside, "Titus O'Neil is like Kobe Bryant at a hotel in Colorado. In a Colorado hotel room. He's unstoppable." Following the commercial break, WWE broadcaster Michael Cole issued an apology on behalf of the organization for AEW's remark. He then quickly transitioned to a replay of the backstage segment featuring John Cena and CM Punk that took moments prior. Well, in 2003, Bryant was accused of sexual assault after having sex with a hotel employee in Colorado. In September 2004, prosecutors dropped the case after his accuser refused to testify. A civil suit was later filed and settled out of court. Cody Rhodes defeated Zack Ryder in the dark match just prior to the TV taping start of Raw. Since they were cleaning up the fire debris from the pyrotechnics, so they didn't have much during the Raw program. And like I said, just prior to the showtime, a minor incident involving the show's pyrotechnics. As a precaution, they evacuated the arena. Limited number of people in the venue during the incident were evacuated. Fire marshals issued safety clearances for the show to proceed as scheduled at 7 p.m. Central, 8 Eastern. However, due to time constraints, no WWE Superstars matches were held. Well, Raw kicks off with a new intro video that debuted on last week's 1000th episode. We're live from the U.S. Bank Arena in Cincinnati, Ohio, as Michael Coleslaw welcomes us to Raw. Fans are still coming in because of the fire what happened inside the event earlier. Jerry King Lawler shows footage of the Raw set catching on fire earlier this evening after a pyro glitch. Coleslaw leads us into a video package looking back at Raw 1000. Video runs for about 5 minutes, and we come back to the WWE Champion CM Punk coming to the ring. Punk makes his way out to a positive reaction from the crowd. Punk says he had a Raw moment last week, bigger than most people's WrestleMania moments. He wants to explain something before he gets into why he did what he did to The Rock. Punk says the WWE Raw went off the air last week and left a bad taste in his mouth. Punk brings up Lawler's quote, saying Punk has turned his back on WWE Universe. Punk goes to ringside and sits on the announcer's table and stares down Lawler as he sits down Indian style. Punk sets the WWE title on the announcer's table and sits cross-legged on top of it. And in front of Lawler, Punk says he is used to bad commentary, but asks how Lawler jumped to such a bad conclusion. Punk says if anything, Lawler turned his back on Punk because the last time he checked, The Rock wasn't the WWE Universe. Punk calls Rock an extremely charismatic, deranged movie star. Punk says Rock disrespected him. Punk says Rock acted like he was invisible, and when he went into his tire stick on Daniel Bryan, Punk says Rock is lucky he didn't turn him right then and there. He went. He was first disrespected. Punk says Rock tried to make Raw 1000 all about him, and that's when Punk showed him the kind of man that he will be dealing with at Royal Rumble. Punk says this isn't ballet, this is WWE, and he is its champion. Punk is still seated in the front of Lawler on the table. Punk brings up how Rock has been quiet for a week. Punk accuses Lawler of having an agenda and spinning it. Punk says he ended Raw 1000 like every issue should end. With a spotlight on the WWE Champion, the best wrestler in the world, Big Show's music hits and out he comes. Well, it's the Big Slow. I certainly can't sing. It makes my throat worse. Punk says Show must have came to steal the spotlight too. Show says the end of Raw 1000 was actually all about him. Show says he's the one who cost John Cena the WWE title and caused him to fail at cashing in Money in the Bank. Show says he knocked out Cena and Punk still couldn't beat him. Show says Punk would have tapped out in the STF if it wasn't for him. Show says the only reason Punk is still WWE Champion is because of him. Show vows that he will be the next WWE Champion. Crowd boos and Punk laughs at him. Punk says he is the only one winning anything between the two. John Cena's music hits and out he comes running to the ring. Cena unloads on Big Show and Punk watches. Show pushes him away and rolls out of the ring. Cena is hyped up as Show looks on from the floor and Punk leans against the ropes watching, shaking his head. Justin Roberts introduces your new general manager, AJ Lee. For tonight's main event, she announces Show versus Cena, and the winner will face CM Punk at SummerSlam. And AJ Lee says everyone has words. Still to come tonight segment. A look back at last week's encounter between Triple H and Brock Lesnar. We go to commercial. Daniel Bryan is shown backstage approaching AJ's office. Santino Marella versus Alberto Del Rio is your first match. And we go straight to the ring, and out comes the U.S. champion, Santino Marella, the non-title match. Ricardo Railroad Rodriguez begins the introduction for Alberto Del Rio. Out he comes for a non-title match. Del Rio's car wasn't allowed in the building because of the recent fire that happened earlier. So nobody gets their actual entrances. Bell rings and they go at it until Del Rio drops Santino and works him over. Taking control, Santino fights back, but Del Rio suplexes him and stomps some more. Del Rio with kicks in the corner, and Santino makes a comeback and sends Del Rio out to the floor with a drop kick. And he runs into the guard railing. As they cut to commercial, back from the break, Del Rio is working on the arm. Santino fights out of a hold. Tries to come back, but gets beat back down. Del Rio goes back to work on the arm now. Working on the left arm. Santino fights out with a suplex and then with right hands. Santino drops with a split, ducks and does a split. But Del Rio kicks him in the head. Santino came back again and pulls out the Cobra. Del Rio blocked it and throws Santino shoulder first into the ring post. Del Rio with an arm breaker on the right arm and then submission for the win. After the match, Del Rio is still standing over Santino and still has him in the armbar lock. He just destroyed the U.S. champion like it was nothing. He gets on the microphone and says Santino is beneath him, Sheamus is beneath him, and all the fans are beneath him. Del Rio says from now on he will not compete unless it's a world heavyweight title match. So he says he won't be wrestling until SummerSlam. Another still to come segment, Cena versus Show. That's your main event. Back from the break, it's Brothers Clay is already in the ring with his dancettes, Funkadactyls, with Cameron and Naomi. They didn't have no dance to the ring on the TV. Miss Pinky Guerrero comes out, running her mouth. She tells them to step aside and has some old school hip hop played. Vicky starts dancing, but is interrupted by Damian Sandow. I missed the Vicky segment. I'll step out to get something to drink. I'm tired of hearing her say, "Excuse me." Well, go to the bathroom. Sandow says a horrible crime has just been committed against humanity last week. Then he shows the footage of him getting beat up from Raw 1000. Sandow just attacks Clay and takes his leg out as he's trying to get the girls out. And so much for this match. Sandow beats Clay down and beats him with a bunch of knees. Then you see a referee in the ring. Sandow continues the assault and rips Clay's necklace and Sandow poses as his music hits. And Coleslaw plays up the fact that Sandow has snapped. The only thing he snapped was the necklace. We can look back at Dolph Ziggler and Chris Jericho getting into it 2 weeks ago. They also show Ziggler teasing a cash in on SmackDown and Jericho throwing him into the ring for a bro kick for Sheamus. Jericho then hits Ziggler with a code breaker while wearing a Ziggler t-shirt. Announced for later tonight is Christian and Jericho versus Miz and Ziggler. And they go back to commercial. Back from the commercial, Daniel Bryan walks into AJ's office. He asks her if she's insane for embarrassing him and leaving him at the altar last week. She tells him to shut up. She's not his bride-to-be anymore. She's his boss. AJ says she saw some groomsmen who looked like they were from a mental hospital. She wonders if he was marrying her just to have her legally committed. She's booked him in a match against Sheamus tonight. Bryan asks if it's for the world title, and she says, no. As Bryan gets mad and storms off. We get a look back. Raw 1000 with Triple H and Brock Lesnar going at it. And Coleslaw and the King tell fans to go on Twitter and vote for what kind of match Sheamus versus Bryan will be for tonight. And your choices are no holds barred, false count anywhere, or a street fight, which I didn't see that during the segment myself. Josh Matthews caught up with Sheamus backstage. He likes how AJ has put the match in the fans' hands. Sheamus asked Matthews if he's all right, as he's like, Matthews was still trying to ask him a question. You act like you're a little bit nervous. Sheamus tells him to relax and take it easy before walking off. Back to commercial. Back from the break, and Coleslaw shows footage of the arena fire from earlier again. And the choice that the fans made was street fight. Daniel Bryan versus Sheamus, so anything goes. We go to the ring. Out comes Daniel Bryan first. Bryan takes the mic and demands the fans to stop stop chanting yes, the Borgasms. He says only he is allowed to chant it. Out next comes the World Heavyweight Champion Sheamus for a non-title match. It's announced by Jerry Lawler that the match will be a street fight with 73% of the vote. Match starts and they go at it, back and forth. Sheamus catches Bryan with a huge power slam for a pin attempt. Sheamus with the knees to the back now. Bryan drops Sheamus into the turnbuckle and takes control of the match. Bryan works over the shoulder. Sheamus comes back with a big shoulder and knocks Bryan down. Sheamus drops more knees for a 2 count. Bryan rolls out to the floor. Sheamus follows. Sheamus tosses him into the fan barrier a few times. Bryan gets dropped on the steel ramp as they fight up the stage. Sheamus slams Bryan's head into the big W. Sheamus goes for the white noise, but Bryan blocks it and kicks Sheamus while he's on his knees. Bryan runs and drop kicks Sheamus from the stage to the concrete. Sheamus clutches his ankle, but gets up. Bryan leaps off the stage with a knee to the face, and Sheamus goes back down as we take another commercial break. Back from that break, Bryan has Sheamus down in the ring, working on his shoulder. Sheamus fights out, but Bryan stops the comeback with a knee to the gut. Bryan knocks Sheamus back to the floor. Bryan leaps off the apron, but Sheamus catches him and tosses him into the ring barrier. Sheamus puts Bryan in the barrier again and hits a series of forearm shots 10 times. Sheamus suplexes Bryan back onto the floor and brings it to the ring. Sheamus throws a kendo stick and a steel chair, but Bryan slides him back out of the ring. Sheamus clotheslines him back to the floor. Sheamus comes out but gets smacked in the head with a kendo stick. Bryan comes in the ring with more kendo shots, beating Sheamus down in the corner. Sheamus stops Bryan with headbutts and takes the kendo stick as he swung and hit him and caught it with his elbow. Sheamus wails away with it, but Bryan drop kicks him back to the steel chair that is wedged in the corner. Bryan gets a 2 count. They go back to the floor to brawl. Sheamus takes apart steel steps and goes to slam Bryan on him. He blocks it, but Sheamus catches him for white noise. Bryan blocks that, and Bryan rams Sheamus' shoulder first into the ring post. Bryan picks up the steps and slides them in the ring. Bryan tosses Sheamus into the fan barrier again. Bryan brings him in the ring, and they fight for the kendo stick. Sheamus scoots Bryan up for a white noise on top of the steps, but Bryan blocks it again. Sheamus lays him out on the top of the steps with a brogue kick. Sheamus covers for the win. The feed has a technical glitch before Coleslaw shows. That's the CM Punk speaking to Lawler earlier tonight video. Still to come segment. So versus Cena again. We can take another commercial break. Back from the break. Bryan is still down in the ring with referees. He's yelling that he won't leave the ring until he gets a doctor. Bryan continues throwing a fit as Coleslaw shows us footage of CM Punk, John Cena, and Big Show from earlier in the night. Bryan finally gets a doctor to come in the ring, as the WWE Tag Team Champions also enter the ring with R-Truth. Kofi tells Bryan to do everyone a favor and just leave. Truth says that they have business to handle. Bryan introduces himself to little Jimmy, and then kicks the little invisible guy out of the ring. Truth runs out, looking for little Jimmy, to check on him, see if he's alright. Bryan ridicules him for consoling an invisible child. Bryan's guys in the white suits from last week come out, and they're here to take Truth away, or for being crazy, supposedly from Bryan's opinion. Well, AJ comes out, which is the Raw general manager, and says these guys are not out for R-Truth. He's not the one that needs help. Bryan is. She says he seems mentally unstable tonight, and just in an interest of safe working environment, Bryan needs a psychiatric evaluation. AJ has Bryan escorted out of the ring by the guys in the white suits, who actually do nothing. They just walk with him. Bryan confronts AJ on the stage and stares at him before walking off to the back with the guys in the white hospital gowns to escort him to the back. Back to commercial. Back from the break, it's announced that Vince McMahon will be on SmackDown to name a new general manager. And your match is up next. Kofi Kingston versus Titus O'Neil. Wow. Is this like the second match? Third match? Whichever kind of match. I don't count the Brodus Clay match. Well, we got R-Truth and Little Jimmy sitting at ringside as he puts a chair right there at the announcer's table. And it has Little Jimmy sitting in it. You know, he's invisible. They air some fan videos from Tout. Abraham Washington comes out next to introduce Titus O'Neil and Darren Young. It's Titus versus Kofi here. It's not a tag match. And R-Truth is decked in a very nice, distinguished suit, by the way. Yeah, it's time for your what chance? What? Alright. Yep. Back and forth to start the match. AEW's mic is way up again as he's got the earpiece on like he's on the telephone. And then he makes his reference to the Kobe Bryant rape case from Colorado. Kobe comes back and drops Titus on his face. After being down a few minutes, Kobe fights back with chops, and a big drop kick to the jaw. Kofi with another big shot, and then boom, drop. Young gets on the apron, but Truth lays him out, still wearing a suit. AW gets on the apron and throws a shoe at Kofi. Kofi's distracted. AW runs off as Kofi throws the shoe back at him. Kofi turns around into the big slam, which is nothing but the what do I call that move? Arn Anderson does it. Triple H does it. I forgot what the main move is. Spine Buster. That's what it is. So Titus O'Neil wins. John Cena's backstage with CM Punk. Punk's doing all the talking. Cena's just staring at him. Punk talks about number one contender match tonight. He says Cena is mad because what he did to The Rock, he did in one night that he couldn't do in a year. Punk tells Cena to get over it and get ready. Back to commercial. Back from the break. Coleslaw says that they apologize for the comments during the last match, the reference to the Kobe Bryant rape case. And Heath Slater versus a legend. Not longer a legend anymore. Well, it's now the Legend Killer. Heath Slater versus Randy Orton, and as he makes his return after a 60-day suspension. Heath Slater is in the ring, and we get a look back at the segment between the Legends at Raw 1000. Slater says that the Legends have finally gone back to the retirement home so he can get his career back on track. Slater challenges any current WWE superstar, and out comes Randy Orton making his return. Match starts off. Slater takes Orton to the corner with his basic only offense. Referee backs him off as Slater unloads. Slater shows off and turns around into a big clothesline from Orton. Orton hits the scoop slam and takes Slater to the apron for the second rope draping DDT. Orton drops to the mat and lays Slater out with an RKO for the win. Daniel Bryan is backstage talking to someone. He says his neck hurts, and we see a doctor, which is nothing but a psychiatric doctor. He asks Bryan questions, and Bryan answers, "Oh yes, orgasm." Bryan interrupts the doctor and just goes wild on the orgasms again. Still to come segment: Jericho and Christian versus Ziggler and Miz. Back commercial. Back from the break, and out first comes Jericho, followed by his partner Christian. Out next comes the Intercontinental Champion, The Miz, followed by partner Dolph Ziggler with Miss Vicky Guerrero and his Money in the Bank briefcase. Ziggler starts off with Christian as they go at it. Christian with an early pin attempt, but Ziggler comes back. Miz comes in, but Christian unloads on him and sends him right back to Ziggler for the tag. They lock up again, and Jericho tags in, as does Miz. Jericho drops Miz with a clothesline for a 1. Jericho slams Miz and drops an elbow for another pin attempt. Ziggler came back and goes at it with Jericho. Jericho dumps him to the floor and tosses Miz over also. Christian goes to the top and leaps out onto both of them. We go to commercial. Back from the break, we got Jericho going at it with Miz in the ring. Jericho with a 2 count. Miz comes back with a clothesline and gets a 2 count of his own. Miz with a headlock now. Jericho breaks free with a backdrop and makes the tag to Christian. As Ziggler comes in, Christian unloads and hits a big drop. Down right hand. Christian with a big elbow from the second rope. He goes for kill switch, but Ziggler blocks it. Christian rolls him up for a 2. Christian fights off Miz in the corner, but gets drop kicked by Ziggler for another 2 count. Miz came back in and stomps away for a 2 count. Miz keeps control for another pin attempt. Christian ends up dumping Miz out to the floor again. Miz stops Jericho for tagging and they double team Christian. Miz gets a 2 count. Ziggler tags in for some double teaming. Ziggler with an elbow drop and another 2 count. Ziggler keeps Christian down on the mat as Vicky screams at ringside. Christian breaks free from a headlock but gets dropped with a neck breaker by Ziggler. Ziggler misses a big leg drop but takes Christian out to the corner for some more offense. Christian finally takes Ziggler down and goes for the tag. Jericho comes in and unloads on Miz. Jericho drop kicks Ziggler from the apron to the floor and drops Miz with a bulldog. Jericho with a lion's halt on Miz for a 2 count. Ziggler makes a save. Christian spears Ziggler, but Miz throws him into the ring post. Jericho with the walls of Jericho on Miz, but he counters it. Miz with a kick to the face. Jericho blocks Skull Crushing finale and hits Code Breaker for the win. After the match, Ziggler laid out Jericho with the briefcase shot to the head. Ziggler stands over Jericho and stares for a minute before leaving up the ramp with Miss Piggy. We get another look back at the arena fire from earlier tonight before Raw hit the air. Another segment with Daniel Bryan and the psychiatrist backstage. They're looking at pictures, and one of them is made to look like a goat face. Bryan says the only goat about him is that he's the greatest of all time. Bryan asks the doctor if Charlie Sheen put him up to this. Bryan says if Sheen's watching, then he is the one winning, not Sheen. Back to commercial. And then you got Tensai versus Tyson Kidd. Back for the break. Tensai is out to wait on Tyson Kidd. We get a look back at Kidd beating Tensai last month. Kidd strikes first and kicks, but gets dropped with a big shoulder. Tensai with a splash in the corner with a big slingshot under the second rope. Tensai with a few elbow drops and strikes to the back of the head. Tensai applies a claw hold now, and we see Kidd bleeding from the head a bit. Looks like a fingernail got him. Kidd tries for a comeback and rolls Tensai up for a 2. Kidd with a big kick and a blockbuster from the top for a 2 count. I thought he kind of had to win there, but it was 2 count. Tensai comes out of nowhere, the big slam, back splash for the win. After the match, Tensai picks up Kidd for a pair of big clotheslines. He drops elbows as the referee tells him to back off. Tensai drops Kidd with a big backbreaker as Sakamoto looks on from the corner. The referee reverses his decision and the winner of the match by disqualification, Tyson Kidd now. Tensai goes back after Kidd, but officials back him off. Tensai looks around and tells Sakamoto to come in. Sakamoto's like, no, don't do it. So, and he brings Sakamoto and slaps him to the mat. Tensai dumps Sakamoto out to the floor. Another segment with Bryan and the doctor again. Doctor finds him to have a weird obsession with Charlie Sheen, but he is indeed 100% sane. Bryan is free to go. Red light comes on, and in comes Kane. Kane says he's Bryan's anger management therapist for the evening. Kane slams Bryan into both sides of the walls before leaving him lying. Back to commercial. Lawler and Coleslaw hype SummerSlam. We get another look back at the segment between Triple H and Brock Lesnar from Raw 1000. Big Show versus John Cena is up next for the main event. We go to the ring. Out comes champion CM Punk for commentary. We go to commercial again. Back from the break, out comes Big Show. Show goes to the ring. ringside and some words with Punk. Cena's out next. But the winner of this one will face Punk for the WWE title at SummerSlam. Bell rings and they go at it. Show knocks Cena to the mat first. Show takes it to the corners and drops Cena with a big back splash. Show slowly beats Cena around with headbutts. Punk rips on Lawler and calls his commentary awful. Cena finally fights back. Jumps on Show's back with a sleeper. Show slams Cena back in the corners. Cena lifts off the ropes, but Show catches him in a bear hug. Cena counters for another sleeper hold. Punk continues to have words with Lawler on commentary as Cena brings Show to one knee with a sleeper. Show goes down and Cena gets a 2 count. Another commercial break. Back from the break and Cena fights back, but Show knocks him out of the air. Show stands on Cena and runs his mouth to the fans. Show with another back splash in the corner. Show whips Cena into another corner, but runs into boots. Cena with a bulldog. Cena tries to make another comeback, but Show catches him in midair with another bear hug. Cena fights out and scoops Show, but Show falls on top of him for a 2 count. Show calls for the choke slam, but Cena counters it with a DDT. Show catches Cena with a big side slam. Show goes to the second rope for a big splash, but Cena moves out of the way. You can hear a kid in the front row screaming, "No, no, no!" I guess he or she was hollering for Cena. Cena comes back with a shoulder and a back drop. Cena hits a 5-knuckle shuffle, but Show catches him with a choke slam out of nowhere for a close 2 count. Show brings Cena back in the ring and knocks him right back out. Cena shoves Show into the ring post. They fight at ringside, and Cena gets a launch into Punk, and they both go down. Cena makes it back to the ring before the 10 count, where Show awaits. Cena finally goes for the attitude adjustment, but but Punk makes the save. Punk then kicks Show in the face and lays him out. Punk takes a mic and announces that there is no winner. Punk leaves the ring and head to the back when AJ comes out. She says both men are the winners, and Punk will defend at SummerSlam against Show and Cena in a triple threat match. Punk comes back out and argues with AJ. Raw goes off the air with Punk demanding respect from AJ. "You will respect me. You will respect me. Respect, respect, respect." End of show. And that is my video for this week.